as a hybrid, it doesn't work quite how you might expect it to work. And what I mean by that is, welcome to Tech in the Car. I am Oliver. This is the new 11th generation Honda Civic. Now I'm going to ask you a question which hopefully we'll know the answer to by the end of this video. Is this the best hatchback car that you can get on the market right now? Does it lead the market in its technology, in its performance maybe, in its economy, or does it not? Hold that thought and let's find out at the end of this video. The Honda Civic has been around for 50 years and this is the 11th generation of the car. Over 27.5 million cars have been sold since it launched over 50 years ago. And this car has been designed differently from the previous generation. You can see my review of the previous generation Honda Civic Type R on the channel. But this car has some differences. Namely, it's slightly longer, 35 millimeters longer, but it's lower and it's also lighter than the previous version. Honda have done a lot with the stiffening of the suspension, of the chassis, and also with reducing weight. At the back, the rear tailgate is about 20% lighter than the previous version. So overall, this car should be better handling, but also it's got fantastic tech under here. Where the engine is, there's some really clever technology which gives class-leading economy and also mind-boggling driving. You'll see when we get to that in a little bit. At the front of the Civic, there are obviously further changes. Every car gets the LED lights, which is great to see. And we've got an all new front design here with a grille. On this, the sport version, it's got a matte black design. Although it does look a bit plasticky, I'm not gonna lie, but it has a definite presence on the road when you are driving. From the side of the new Civic, you can see that the highest point of the roofline is actually lower and further forward than the previous generation Civic, with a gentle slope to the back here over this hatchback, which is, like I said, lighter than the previous generation by quite a bit. This gives a really sporty look to the rear design. At the back of the 11th generation Civic, not only is this boot lid 20% lighter, made out of resin, but it's also lower than the previous generation, which means it has a more sporty look. And you can see these new design rear tailgate lights, which are very nice looking at, and the little blue light, which indicates that it is a hybrid around the Honda logo. And what about space back here? Well, we've got 410 litres of storage space here in the back, which is more than any of its competitors in the car market. No one has as much space as this car. We've got tether points, we've got hooks, and we've got a handle here so we can cover up the view of the back when the hatch is down. So lots of space back here. As far as access to the back goes, we've got quite a high load lip, but it's a wide opening, and so I don't think you're gonna have much trouble getting anything back into this car. So a lot of space, class leading, that's impressive. Well done, Honda. One of the things I'm not sure about here is the design at the back. Yes, this car is not pretending to have exhaust cutouts because, well, you can see there aren't any, but it's still got that shape here and it's still got kind of like a fake diffuser. On quick viewing, it looks all right. If you look at it a bit closer, you do wonder why they did that. But, you know, not the worst fakery at the back of a car that I've seen. And I think maybe because this car is so good all round, we can give Honda a pass on that. Now is the time to talk about the powertrain of this car. Now, Honda has done something very, very interesting with this car. There's only one type of powertrain available in the UK, and this is only available as a hybrid. Now, what makes that very unique is the fact that as a hybrid, it doesn't work quite how you might expect it to work. And what I mean by that is the engine is providing electricity to the electric motors. So this car is essentially being driven like an electric car because the wheels are being driven directly by the electric motors. Now, if you go much faster, then it will actually disengage and the engine will power the wheels directly. But in normal driving, in normal scenarios, this car sounds like an electric car, if you can hear anything, of course, because it's very, very well insulated, and Honda has done a lot of work with that to reduce noise inside the car. And that makes this a very, very unique engine. Now, this engine, actual engine, is a 2-litre engine, and Honda call this system the Intelligent Multi-Mode Drive System. Sounds like a level out of a Nintendo game coming from Japan. What that means is this engine is very, very efficient. We're talking over 50 miles per gallon combined, maybe more in the town, and on top of that, we're saving us the cost of fuel. We know how expensive petrol is. This car is designed with efficiency in mind. Now, obviously, Honda are taking a very different approach on the new 2023 Civic Type R, but on the UK version of the Civic, this is a really clever and unique design which no one has used before. Now, on my Honda HR-V video, I talk a bit about that car, and that car had a previous generation of this system, which worked very similarly and which I was very surprised about. But this is an even better version. In terms of power and torque, this puts out 135 kilowatts, so around 130 horsepower, and 350 Newton meters of torque, which is a lot of torque, I might add, for a car like this. This new engine has over 41% thermal efficiency, which is class leading. So it's a fantastic bit of design that Honda have done and very 21st century thinking. And I think Honda really deserve credit for doing this, because this is a totally different system to how you would have it on any other kind of hybrid. And it's very, very impressive. By the way, 0 to 60 in 7.8 seconds, but it's probably faster than that based on my experiences. Okay, right, let's have a look at the interior now. Here in the front of the new Civic, you can see that there is a lot of differences to the previous generation, a lot of differences. I felt that the previous generation Civic was a bit cluttered and a bit old-fashioned inside. This air vent diffusion system, which is hidden behind, which I really, really like the look of, is fantastic. This is similar to in the Honda HR-V, and it just has a very stylish look. The vents are behind this grille, so it looks sophisticated. We've got actual climate controls, which is really, really good. And in fact, if you start the car here, you'll see they pop up with the exact temperature on here, and it's just very, very easy to use. We've got a sync button, auto, so I like that, very, very good. We have wireless charging, which comes on the sport trim and above, and like all Hondas, it's got a little button you can press to turn the wireless charging on and off, which I also think is very cool. We've got our 12 volt here. We've got two USBs. These are old style USB type A's, which is a bit unusual. All new cars come with at least one USB type C. Most just come with type C USB. So this means in about 4 years time, when this car is due to be replaced, you're going to need lots of adapters for this probably, which isn't great, but that's a minor thing. In the center here, we've got two nice big cup holders. I really like this gear selector system where you have physical buttons for drive, neutral, reverse and park. I think it's a lot better than those little fiddly gear stalks which are in Audis and VWs. Even in my own Audi, I think this looks much better. Having buttons is much cooler. It's more Lamborghini-esque, right? They have buttons. We've got our drive mode selector on here. We've got our park button, our brake button as well. So that's good. The steering wheel, very nice, very round design. We've got the buttons for our cruise control and our media. And then what's interesting is the digital driver's display, or should I say the half digital driver's display. If you buy the advanced model, then you get a full 10.2-inch digital driver's display. But if you're on any other trim, including this sport trim, you get a half analog, half digital display. I don't really understand the point of that. It looks fine, and you probably won't even really notice it. Still, it's a bit unusual. The seats are very comfortable. These are manual on the sport version, but on the advanced, they are also available as electric. And overall, it's a nice interior. Here on the infotainment system, we've got a 9-inch display, which is very clear and easy to see. This is fairly responsive. It's a big improvement over the previous generation infotainment systems. We can go into our navigation and it will load. I would probably choose Android Auto, Apple CarPlay over this, but we've got these buttons at the bottom which let you go between the various modes, shortcuts, which is great. We can change the display mode, the brightness. We've got physical buttons on the side, home, back, and our audio control, and also our skip and back audio buttons. We've got our power flow button, which shows our range and shows when the engine and the motors are working. And we can see our efficiency and MPGs here. I would use Android Auto and Apple CarPlay, and I think that's the best way to go with any new car, but it's a big improvement over the previous generation, and it's very easy to see how it works. Overall, this is a very nice interior. As I mentioned in the back, if you get the Advance, you get a panoramic glass sunroof, which will bring a lot more light and make it a lot more airy in here. But this is a nice interior. This is much better than the previous generation, and it's very, very spacious. And in all honesty, it just completes the all-round vibe of this car, which is this is a fantastic car and perhaps the best in the hatchback market right now. In the back of the Civic, there's a lot of space. I'm really impressed with the amount of space. We've got tons of space, a good 2 or 3 inches in front of my knees. I'm 178. We've got a good 2 or 3 inches above my head. This is a driving position as well. These seats are comfortable. We've got big open windows, although they are tinted at the back here. And we do also have an armrest with 2 cup holders, but no pass-through. Somewhat strangely, there's nowhere to store your stuff behind the driver's seat, but there is a little pull-out area behind the passenger seat. I don't know why that is. A bit weird, but there is at least space there. On the advanced trim, we do have a panoramic glass sunroof, which would bring a lot more light into the back of this car. But in terms of space, this is very, very good. We do have 2 USB Type A's back here and climate control, and the door bins are enough to fit a small to medium bottle of water in if you want to do that. Overall, very, very spacious at the back here, impressive by Honda. In the new Civic, you're immediately greeted by a much more dynamic, more sporty feeling ride than the previous generation. It's hard to really appreciate how much of a difference these cars do feel to drive. This car is a much lighter car. The bonnet is 43% lighter, the rear tailgate is 20% lighter, and the car is 19% more rigid as well. Plus, we also have a more efficient steering system and a much more efficient engine, which we're going to talk about in a second. This car is really quite astounding in what it's like to drive and the differences between it and the previous generation. But before we talk about the special system which powers this car, let's talk a bit about different modes. So if I put this into our eco mode here, in eco mode, it drives like any other car. We've got a cool little animation, by the way, on here. In eco, every car feels a bit hesitant, a bit slow, and that is designed to give you the best efficiency that you can get, and that's understandable. If we change it into normal, and by the way, I do like these little switches to change the mode down here, immediately it feels a lot more like it has some oomph. It feels like it's ready to go. It feels like it's got something going on. You can feel it just feels more dynamic, more sporty, but not too hard, not too rigid, just about right. If we then stick it into sport mode, immediately, wow, you can feel it just kind of take off, to be fair to say. And then, you know, going around corners like this corner here, it just feels very flat. You can feel the extra rigidity which has come through the improvements that Honda have made to the body of this car. It's just a lot more sporty in its driving dynamic. Now, let's talk about the black magic that is the powertrain on this car. So we've got 2 electric motors which basically power the wheels like an electric car. That's right, the 2-litre engine is not actually powering the wheels unless you're going really fast. It's actually powering the motors. And this car will go from EV mode to hybrid mode to engine mode, which basically means that in EV mode, the 1.05 kilowatt hour battery is providing enough battery and power for the motors to run without using the engine. And then when it goes out of EV mode into hybrid mode, it's then using, this is the mode which would be in most of the time, is then using the engine to power the motors. So the engine is providing electricity for those motors. And then when we go much faster, it decouples the motors and it just uses the engine as a traditional engine. But there is no traditional gearbox. So if I start accelerating now, the car will sound like it's changing up. I can hear it and it sounds like the gear is changing, and I can definitely feel it moving, but it's not, because the gearbox doesn't work like a traditional gearbox. The paddles on the steering wheel are not changing gears, they're adjusting the regen braking. So when you're driving along, it's putting the energy back into the battery, so you've got more range when you're in electric mode. And just to be clear, you can't choose electric mode by itself. This car will automatically choose between the modes by itself. But what that means is it has fantastic efficiency. We're talking around 50 miles per gallon in normal combined driving. This car right now is telling me I've got a range of around 317 miles and over 59 miles per gallon right now. That's insane. 59 miles per gallon? Wow. Wow. Honda's tagline is the power of dreams. And somebody dreamed up this amazing car with this amazing technology, and this may well be the best car that you can get right now in this segment of cars. How about price? Well, this car spec is around £31,000. It goes up to around 33,000 for the Advance, and it starts around 29,000. I think considering everything you get, it's a really, really good value, and it's a fantastic car to have. So what is my verdict on this, a new 2022-23 Honda Civic? Well, this car is very, very surprising. It has really good economy. It drives in a way which boggles the mind, being that it's mostly running on electric motors powering the wheels instead of the engine, even though it has an engine, which is totally different from any kind of hybrid. It's got a really comfortable interior. It feels sporty to drive, even though it's not a sport car, because it's stiffer inside. There's loads of technology. We've got the cool dashboard design with the diffusion technology, and we've got a ton of space in the back of this car. This may well be one of the best cars of the year that Honda have made, and arguably the best hatchback that you can get on the market right now. So why is my tech in the car score for this, the 11th generation Honda Civic? Well, it's great value, starting at £29,000 up to £33,000 for the advanced version. I think this is a really, really good value car. It's got fantastic handling and performance, driver assist, it's got all the latest technology. Parking, it's got by standard a reversing camera, which lots of cars don't even have unless you option them. In fact, some cars are even coming without the option for reversing camera, so that's very, very good as well. All round, this is a really, really good car, and I would certainly recommend it if you're looking for a stylish, sporty hatchback. And maybe if you're not thinking about Honda, now's the time you should do. Hope you found this video enjoyable and interesting. Please do give me a like. I have videos on the Honda HR-V, 2022 Civic Type R, and loads more videos on hybrids and electric cars on this channel. Thank you very much.